the president's proposal to change the filibuster rule.
We've got 48 more hours of abnormally warm January temps, but eventually we're going to finish off this cast talking about snow. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, an admission from tennis star Novak Djokovic as Australian authorities decide whether to deport him.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Staffing shortages lead to classes canceled at USD 250 in Pittsburgh for the remainder of the week. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, Pittsburgh schools will close on Thursday and Friday this week. The district cites staffing shortages due to COVID-19 as the cause. According to an email sent to parents, students will return to class next Tuesday, as Monday was already a scheduled holiday. The district states the high number of teachers, paraprofessionals, and classified staff members are either positive for COVID-19 or in quarantine. Well, President Biden reverses his long-standing stance on the filibuster, saying he's willing to change Senate rules in order to pass a new voting rights bill. The president says he's for changing Senate rules if it means passing those new voting rights laws, but Republicans and even some Democrats might prevent him from doing that. The president is pushing 2 pending voting bills. One measure would update the 1965 Voting Rights Act and force states with a history of discrimination to clear any potential changes to election laws with the Justice Department. Another would establish national election standards by, among other things, requiring all 50 states to offer at least 2 weeks of early voting. At least 19 states, including Georgia, have passed what Democrats call restrictive voting laws since the 2020 election. Republicans say there's nothing wrong with these new rules. President Biden says he's willing to change the Senate's filibuster rule so that the voting bills can pass with a simple majority, but Republicans are slamming that suggestion.
What protects the minority, not just the minority whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, but the minority of whether you're rural or urban or you have an unusual idea.
And even some members of the president's own party may not be willing to go along. Democrats have set a Monday deadline for themselves on voting rights, the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Parsons, Kansas PD are investigating yet another dog killing, the city's third in less than a year. This latest dog named Draco was found on December 29th, wrapped in a blanket by a small bridge near Felix and 7th Streets. A veterinarian says Draco had experienced severe trauma to his abdomen and around his neck from a choke chain, indicating that a human did it. This is the 3rd dog in Parsons to be killed and the 4th to be attacked. Police say a dog named Blue was shot and killed, and then another named Zeus was shot but survived. On December 3rd, the dog of a Parsons police officer, Ranger, was found brutally killed. A $34,000 reward is being offered in that case. However, authorities say no leads have come out of it, which makes them think it's the work of a lone suspect. Parsons police are encouraging all dog owners in the city to keep an eye on their own pets while they're outside. We've got great weather outside today.
Yeah, there's no easy transition coming off of that. And it's okay. And you know what? They'll find out who did it.
Hope
they
so.
will get there. And you're right, Tanya. It is absolutely gorgeous. We're going to be spoiled for about 48 more hours here before, we're eventually going to have to talk about weekend snow, believe it or not. Little cloud cover has moved in, did so from the south, but at the same point in time, still a very dry air mass hanging over us. So no precipitation. As a matter of fact, if you look at the entire Midwest, there's hardly anything going on. One thing that we will concentrate on is what's going to head toward us north of the border. While it's yet to formulate, you're starting to see a little bit pick up. I'm going to point it out right here because that's kind of what we'll concentrate on for really tomorrow all the way through Friday. As we zoom in here on the 4 states, our humidity dropping down around 40%, so abnormally dry conditions. But here's the curious aspect of our temperatures. We were so spread out this morning. A 20-degree gap between our low and our high that we saw in Neodesha that was down at 24. We saw Joplin at 44. Now look at that. Neodesha's at 51. Joplin is at 50. It has just been a tremendous roller coaster of a morning temperature-wise. Our weather trend for the afternoon, top out around 56, 57 degrees. Clouds are going to kind of come and go. But here in just a little bit, I want to break down that front that's going to move in out of Canada, Tanya, because as we get closer and closer to Friday night into Saturday morning, we're getting a better idea of the possibility of seeing some snow flurries coming off of 4 consecutive days where we've been 12 degrees above January norms.
Oh, I'm just going to enjoy it, that's for sure.
And a big difference for today, not having to fight that 40-mile-an-hour wind.
That's nice.
It's been great.
Winner, winner. All right, thanks, Michael. The visa battle for Novak Djokovic takes a new twist with the tennis star admitting he broke COVID rules in his home country of Serbia. The revelation comes as immigration officials decide whether to let him play in the Australian Open next week. CBS's Tina Kraus reports.
Novak Djokovic is back on the tennis court, training to defend his Australian Open crown, but a series of faults threatens to keep him out of the tournament. The star player says he blames his agent for making a mistake on his visa application by not declaring he'd traveled to Spain and Serbia in the 2 weeks leading up to his arrival in Australia. Djokovic also admits breaking Serbia's COVID isolation rules and says he made an error in judgment by meeting with a journalist for an interview and photo shoot after testing positive for the virus. In a statement on Instagram, he wrote, "We are living in challenging times in a global pandemic, and sometimes these mistakes can occur." Some Australians aren't buying his excuses.
I don't like his arrogance. I feel he's come across as he's above it all.
But Djokovic's mother is coming to her son's defense as the government decides whether to deport him.
Don't throw him out. He is a tennis player. He's not politician. He is not a criminal. He is not murderer. He is just tennis player, the best in the world. Just let him play.
Australian border officials revoked Djokovic's visa last week and later reinstated it in an ongoing saga over whether he should be allowed to stay and compete, despite not being vaccinated against COVID-19. The immigration minister is expected to decide the superstar's fate on Thursday. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
If Djokovic gets to play and wins the Australian Open, his 21st Grand Slam, he would become the most successful male tennis player in history. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, the Buy Nothing Project, how it's not just about regifting those unwanted items. And later, we're making a healthy slow cooker comfort soup in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. For many people, decluttering is a popular way to mark the beginning of a new year, but instead of tossing or donating unwanted items, a growing number of Americans are first offering them to their neighbors for free. It's part of the Buy Nothing Project, and membership is exploding nationwide. Janet Schmillian went to the Woodlands in Texas to find out how this movement is offering far more than just giveaways.
Jordan Cheatham is stopping at a neighbor's home to drop off a fondue pot she's never used.
Hi, how are you?
The mom of 3 found a taker for it on the local Buy Nothing Facebook group she helps run.
Last 6 months, what have you given? Clothes, shoes, books, dishes. Let me see, a couple pieces of furniture.
People post photos of what they're giving away on a neighborhood Buy Nothing Facebook group or through the Buy Nothing app. Members can also ask for something they need. Everything is donated with no strings attached. Trading, bartering, buying, or selling, not allowed. Friends Liesl Clark and Rebecca Rockefeller started the Buy Nothing movement in 2013.
I think we originally were thinking, okay, we can all offer up what we'd like to give in this hyper-local gift economy and try to solve that question of, do we have too much in our homes? Can we share our bounty?
They didn't realize then what's apparent now. It's about more than decluttering an economic need.
I've made so many probably lasting friendships just from this group.
But perhaps the most important gifts came when her daughter was born in October 2020. Jordan had an emergency C-section. She posted a desperate plea in her Buy Nothing group. Formula? ? Baby is not doing well on breast milk. The response overwhelmed her.
When I got home, my front porch and inside was full of formula. I had like 2 or 3 months worth of supply from at least 15 people. It really shows that, you're never alone. It's okay to ask for something and, be loved on by people.
Buy Nothing has spread to almost 7,000 communities across more than 40 countries. The pandemic fueled a spike in membership. More than 1.5 million people joined. And the number taking part in Buy Nothing groups now tops 5 million worldwide.
In a Buy Nothing community, you know that you're speaking literally to your neighbors.
With record inflation and the stresses of the pandemic, Buy Nothing became for some a financial and emotional lifeline.
It really brings joy to others, but honestly brings more joy to yourself, helping others.
Janet Shamlian, The Woodlands, Texas.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
If you've made a New Year's resolution to eat better, lose weight, or cook up something good and hearty every day for your family, today's dish does it all.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
One very positive aspect of having these warm temperatures, whether we have to fight the wind or not, is the fact that eventually, when Old Man Winter returns, which is coming this weekend, our ground's going to be warm enough that anything that does fall really shouldn't hamper any of our driving conditions. And we still got 2 more days of this great weather left. Let's take a look outside of 7th and Rangeline. Joplin Regional Airport sits right now at an even 50 degrees. Same thing as what we had yesterday with that humidity dropping oh so low, but you'll also notice the wind not as blustery as what it was on Tuesday. Temperatures, Tanya and I talked about this earlier. We had such a wide discrepancy this morning. It's amazing how Mother Nature will even things out. As now everybody pretty much within about 2 to 3 degrees of each other, despite the fact that we had about a 20-degree separation earlier. Also, too, even though the wind's not too bad, elevated fire conditions. I know we keep harping on that, but that's pretty normal when you talk about abnormally warm conditions for this time of year. But believe it or not, we are actually 4 degrees cooler than what we had at this point in time on Tuesday, even though we'll end up just about the same. Look at that warming trend throughout the Northeast and New England portion of the contiguous 48, about 30 degrees warmer for them. Now let's go from one coast out to the other, because all the action for today and for tomorrow for the most part going to focus in on the Pacific Northwest, where it's already waterlogged. They're in the midst of flood warnings and watches. And then let's follow the jet stream down right here, because you'll almost notice how it's beginning to cut off. You'll see how it goes from up top in the Pacific Northwest all the way down into southern Texas. So what we're going to do is concentrate on this little formulation right here that's still on the north side of the Canadian border. So we talk about temperatures in the mid-50s in the middle of January, and yet we still focus in on snow that's beginning to formulate up to our north. No worries for today, however, as the high pressure indicated by the brighter blue still dominates not only us, but out to our west as well. End up around 56, 57 later on today. That wind just about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then overnight we'll skirt around the freezing mark. I think we'll mostly stay above it though, and then no worries on future track. Let's get to the good stuff. That'll be Friday. Remember that system we talked about up there? Top of your screen. Watch this thing drop down. Anywhere from 6 inches to a foot of snow for the upper plains, the far upper plains. Watch what happens when it hits Kansas City. Now KC is going to get snow Friday night into Saturday morning, but we see it revert back into rain as it gets toward us. Not saying we're not going to see any snowflakes. We could see anywhere from about 1/4 of an inch. But Tanya, the key factor once again, because we've been able to warm up our ground, warm up our soil, our roads are going to be fine, sitting in the 50s for 4 consecutive days. Even Friday is not too bad. We'll be up around 50 degrees Friday afternoon. Really, our accumulation number is going to be very limited and not going to be able to stick.
You can't complain about that too much. I'm loving the temperature lows on Friday too, so that's good.
And so for all of those of you who want to see snow, yeah, we're going to see some on Saturday, especially if you live in the north. For those of you that are like, I don't want it to be around too long, I think everybody can come out of winter.
I'm ready for summer.
How about me going glass half full?
You know what? Hey, I would be happy for spring. We always skip spring and fall, so
it does seem like that lately. You are right.
All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4th state hero, Anson Solner in the U.S. Army. The Arma, Kansas native worked as a dentist during World War II. He was stationed in the Burma India Theater in 1941. To Anson Solner, we thank you, our 4th state hero.
Printing services.
Looking for healthy soup recipes that are also hearty enough to bring the family together around the table? Howard shows us one today that's brimming with all sorts of good stuff in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you've made a New Year's resolution to eat better, lose weight, or cook up something good and hearty to bring your family around the table, today's dish does all that and more. It's packed with all sorts of healthy ingredients, and as a bonus, it's made in a slow cooker, so you know it's going to be easy. Let me show you how easy it is. We start by adding some uncooked quinoa, diced tomatoes, and great northern beans that we've rinsed and drained to our slow cooker. On top of that, we toss in some diced onion and garlic, vegetable broth, some water, and a bunch of off-the-shelf spices. All that's left to do is cover it, set it to low, and let it cook for 7 to 8 hours. And right before serving, we'll toss in a good amount of chopped kale. Talk about a soup that's brimming with all kinds of goodness. The quinoa and beans are packed with protein. The kale is a great source of fiber, and the tomatoes are a super antioxidant. All that, plus it tastes amazing. To get the recipe for our healthy slow cooker comfort soup, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a super healthy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Mid-50s today, mid-50s tomorrow. Cannot beat it for the middle of January. Remember, Friday night, that's when the cold front arrives. Not only feeds us some late Friday rain, but eventually we're going to see some snowflakes Saturday morning. Luckily, this warm trend that we have right now will keep it from any accumulation. I don't think we'll have any serious travel concerns throughout Saturday either.
All right.
Dal, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, the latest report from the American Cancer Society shows major progress against the leading cause of cancer death in the U.S., lung cancer. We're going to have that story in Health Watch. Plus, multiple area school districts announced the switch from in-person to virtual learning. While the switch is this week only, area school districts continue to monitor that changing situation. And Freeman Hospital officials talk about the latest hospital COVID numbers. Hope you join us for those stories, a lot more, of course. It's all coming up tonight right here on KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.
Salon service